Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Pink Podcasts. I'm your host, Kirsten, and today I have got a guest that I've been dying to chat to for ages. Being someone who works in digital marketing and who promotes social media all the time, I thought it was only the responsible thing for me to do to highlight some of the negative implications of social media. And I think particularly around teenagers, what's happening in schools at the moment, it's very scary. If you see what's happening in terms of anxiety and depression and even suicide in children and teens across the world. So today my guest is Dr. Rochelle Robinson, or Dr. Ro as she calls herself. She's a New York City psychologist who has her Bachelor of Arts in Psychology from Wilberforce University in Ohio. She has a doctorate degree in school psychology at Fairleigh Dickinson University. She was a school psychologist for over 14 years and now works as a professor in St. John's University in New York City. She's warm, she's kind, she's empathetic, and she's the perfect person to speak to because this is something she deals with every single day. I hope you enjoy this episode and I hope it brings you lots of value. As always, please feel free to leave your comments in the comment section below. Get in touch with me. Let me know what you think. And if you have any questions, please feel free to share. Hey, Dr. Ro, thank you so much for joining me all the way from New York City. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's
I'm so
great.
excited to be here.
Oh, I'm excited to have you. I think it's going to be amazing. I'm super excited for our chat. I think we've got a fairly serious topic on our hands, but luckily I think I've chosen the right guest with this beautiful, warm demeanor, and hopefully we can add value to so many people.
Mm-hmm. I think that this topic is one that is super important for where we are now. The holiday season is always one where feelings and emotions go up and down. So this is the perfect time to talk about it.
You are so right. So before we kick in and get into our topic, how are things in New York? I mean, I know in South Africa, despite it leading up to holiday season where, like you say, times can get tough, we've had a pretty rough couple of years and conditions are tough in South Africa. I think everyone's struggling. We've got things like load shedding, which you experienced with me the other night. We've got unemployment and things just, I don't know, I just feel like everyone is really hostile and we're dealing with a lot at the moment.
Yeah.
How are things in New York?
I can honestly say that it is like that here. The holiday season is one where we get a lot of tourists. A lot of people come from different places, London, Germany, South Africa. So the city is buzzing, it's busy, but with that, there are a lot of people who are still recovering from the last couple of years. So, there are people who are desperate to get their needs met, and sometimes they go about it in ways that may not be the best ways. So we're always cautious about telling people to watch your surroundings because people are struggling. Like, I don't think that anyone wakes up looking to commit a crime, but when you're in a desperate space, you may do whatever you can to get your needs met. So that's definitely something that is going on here, but a lot of people are really trying to recover from COVID. Um, New York was the epicenter at one point. So a lot of people took a lot of hits. We did unfortunately lose a great number of people. So there are also folks dealing with loss during this time. So this may be the second year without having their loved ones here. So people and teenagers can be particularly sad around this time, just thinking about what they had and now how things are, they're different. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. We're going to touch just now on how things like anxiety and depression have increased in teens, but maybe just give us some background in terms of the mindset of teens. How do teens deal with emotions compared to adults as your mind develops, as you get a bit older, you get a bit more mature? What are some of the things that are different about a teenage mind and emotional state compared to an adult's?
I think that with teens, they have so many big emotions,
Mm.
so many big feelings, and they don't always know how to communicate it. So they may not say that I'm feeling sad because I did bad in school. I'm feeling sad because I lost one of my friends. So what we see is that they act it out and they show it in terms of what they do. So adults, I think, we kind of work through and try to figure out, and we try to name what's going on. Teens don't always try to name it, it kind of shows up.
Mm.
So, they may sleep more, they may be a bit more like irritated, distracted by the smallest things. So I definitely tell parents that your teen may not say what is going on, but you will be able to see what is going on when you kind of watch the way that things change. Like, what is their attitude like?
Yeah.
How are they interacting with their brothers, with their sisters? Are they in their room for the whole day? Are they bathing? So those are the things that kind of make teens a bit different.
Mm.
I think that as adults, we try to cover it up because we may not want folks to know what's going on with us. So we look good, like on the outside, our face is done, our nails are done, and no one can know that we are in pain. But for teens, it's kind of like the scab is open.
Yeah.
And sometimes they kind of don't care who sees. It's like, this is who I am, and it is what it is.
Mm.
So I definitely think that that's how teens are different than us, is that they're like, this is where it is.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Exactly. I think even for adults, it's difficult to name emotions. Like you said, how do you pinpoint it? It's difficult to express it. And I think at any point it's very difficult to ask for help. Like shame becomes a big thing, whether you're an adult or a teen. I can imagine as a teen, admitting to your parents that you're struggling, especially if you're under a lot of pressure to achieve, must be a very difficult thing.
Yes.
So obviously in modern times we've got social media coming into play, and I know it's a difficult thing to avoid. Initially it was like, well, just don't let your kids be on social media, don't let them have mobile devices, but now it's actually a requirement at school. And
Mhm.
the rates of anxiety and depression, as I understand, are increasing dramatically. So how does social media play a part in that?
It's huge. I mean, like you said, we kind of wake up and our phone is next to our bed, and that's the first thing that we reach for.
Mm.
And if you're on Instagram first thing in the morning, who knows what you're going to see when you open it up. So teens have this opportunity to either learn some positive things there, but you will have to kind of search and sift through in order to find that. But most of it, it's very easy to compare yourselves and themselves to anyone who is on there. So you either have folks who are 15 and they're business owners and they're making $1 million and they're like, this is what you need to do, or people are uh kind of showing things that um, may not be the best things to be online.
Mm.
So, whether it's how should you dress as a 14-year-old girl? Like,
Yeah.
do you need to have stilettos? Do you need to have a crop top on? Do you need to have a super short dress? This is what everybody else is doing.
Mm.
This is a generation's very interesting. I'm not sure if they have it where you are, but uh, teenagers are wearing wigs with a whole lot of hair. And I'm like, I never wanted to be a teenager with a wig on,
Yeah.
but they really, and teens who are watching this think that that's what they need.
Mm,
And if I don't have that, then what does that say about me? Then I'm not the it girl. Or, if I'm this guy and I'm not making a whole lot of money, or I don't have the flashiest clothing, what does that say about me? And it makes teens think about what is on the outside, and they kind of forget that it really counts to be a good, genuine, authentic person.
yeah.
Like, what's on the inside? Like, that's what really counts. So there's a lot of focus on the outward look when teens should really be focused on the inside.
Mm,
So social media can kind of trip you up into thinking that that is what is the most important thing, and it's not.
yeah. It's so tricky because I think it is exactly that. If you are in any state in your life where you're feeling a bit down with self-confidence levels, you, especially as a teenager, I mean, if I go back to my teenage years where there was no social media,
Mhm. Yeah,
um, you were looking for external validation as it is. You wanted someone to say you were pretty or you were the best in the hockey team or whatever the case is. And even in those days, to keep up with brands and wear what your friends were wearing, that was tough. Now it's
yeah.
not just your friends who come from similar backgrounds and similar environments. It's
Mm.
people from all over the world that have come from different environments where they're wearing, labels that you could never even in your wildest dreams imagine owning. And I think the look just in general, especially with things like filters, and that sort of stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really, really it's difficult. It's difficult for
Yeah.
me to keep up as a 30-something-year-old just with what's happening on TikTok. Never mind if I was 16 and trying to keep up with my friends in school.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's like even with dealing with self-confidence, if you post something and you get 25 likes,
Mm,
it's like that's not enough. I need 1,000 likes on my picture. So
yes.
what else do I need to do in order to get more likes?
Yeah.
And you are looking for likes from people who you don't even know, So how much weight does that carry? But there are young folks that like that's the validation that they look for.
Mm,
And if they don't get a certain number of likes, it's like, well, I must not be doing the best job at being who I am. And that's simply not true.
exactly.
It's not true.
Yeah.
So
Oh, it's so difficult. And it's such a direct comparison as well, because you take a picture and let's be honest, anyone who's trying to be something on social media is taking probably 50 selfies before they get the one that they feel confident enough about putting out. Then they still edit it, they add a filter, they do whatever. Finally, you
mhm,
have this product that you're kind of ready to put out there for the world to judge. And
mhm,
then you only get 25 likes or whatever it is. And the girl from school got 60 likes in 60 seconds. Why is
mhm.
it because I'm ugly? Is it because I'm not cool enough? And then the
Right.
next layer on top of that is not only the judgment that you portray upon yourself, but what about cyberbullying? Because then everyone else gets involved and starts
Yeah.
chipping in. So how do you see that play out like in your environment?
I always tell people that when I worked in schools, anytime that there was an argument, if there was an altercation, somehow it started on social
Mm,
media. Somebody sent a message, somebody sent a subliminal message, and you know, you can misinterpret information and think that someone is talking about you and they're really not. Or maybe somebody is directly talking to you and you catch it. And with teenagers, their decision making skills may like they are developing still.
mm,
So some teens just go off at the drop of a dime. It's like, oh, they said something now I want to fight. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa.
yes.
So so Cyberbullying is definitely real. It happens. And I think that if you work in a school, it's easier to find because kids talk. But as a parent, it may be hard to know that that's going on if somebody does not say, hey, you need to check out what's going on social media. So it's definitely something that we need to take seriously. You know, I think when we were growing up, we saw bullying as something that was a part of life, that everybody gets bullied. But these days, it's so vicious, it's so vile, and young people are taking really dramatic steps when it's affecting them. We have way too many teens and young kids like taking their lives
Mm.
because of bullying, because it's surrounding them. It's not just this one person, but it's a group of people. And we have relational bullying when it comes to girls, in that it's not necessarily a fight, but you box this person out of friendships with other people. So they're kind of ostracized, you know, don't talk to her, she's not cool. And then this person is kind of left isolated, alone,
Mm.
while everyone else is having fun. And that's where you want to be, you know? So for girls, it looks different. And that's kind of hard to identify
Yeah.
because they're not physically doing anything, and you're allowed to be friends with whoever you want to be friends with.
Mm.
So that's definitely how it's coming across now.
Mm.
You know,
You mentioned before that kids would send out codes, and I know you're saying from a bullying perspective, but what about cries for help and
mhm,
things like that? I mean, obviously we're talking about external validation, kids looking for attention, but how do we know
mhm,
when, okay, this is a bit worrying, we need to really take this quite
yeah.
seriously?
I I always say that whenever a young person says that they are being bullied, that someone is not treating them nicely, we should always take those cries for help seriously. Um, and I do think that in this case, teens and young people are more vocal about when they're not being treated nice. Um, so we definitely need to look into every uh comment that comes up like that. Again, coming from our generation, there are times when the parents and the adults, they don't take it seriously because they're
Mm.
like, this is what I had to go through, so this is just a part of life, you know, this. But um I don't think that they realize sometimes how vicious it can be. So when a young person says that uh this is going on, it's the same person, it's happening frequently. The person who is bullying them has some sort of power over them. Um, but the real key is that it's happening over and over and over again.
Mm.
That's when parents really need to step in. I always say that, you know, the first time you kind of see, okay, maybe you guys had a little disagreement, and that's good. The second time, okay, it's a yellow light. The third time, it's like, okay, this is something that we need to really stop.
Yeah.
You know, so even if it's talking to the other kids parent, if it's talking to the school, you know, a lot of times schools have the information. They may
Mm.
not always share. So I always tell moms and dads to do not be afraid to go in and ask questions, because sometimes they know, oh yeah, like this has been going on for a while and we just thought it was a little. No, no, no. Go in, ask questions.
Yes. Geez, that's interesting.
Yeah.
What are some of the other things that parents can do? I think it's scary. Or in fact, before I even get there, how
Mhm.
young are we seeing this happen? Because like we're saying teens now, but I mean,
Yeah.
kids are on mobile phones from a really young age already.
Yeah. I would say, believe it or not, like 6 or 7. It,
Wow.
it blows my mind
Wow.
when I see these cases of 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds committing suicide because they're being bullied online. And I don't think that they even realize that when they do these things, there's no like, you can't come back,
Yeah.
like this is it. But somehow, in some way, like, it's just, it's so disheartening. And then it also hurts when you hear from the parent side. We've talked to people about this and no one did anything. We
Mm,
told the school that this was an issue and they downplayed it. So, it's happening young. It's happening so, so, so young. So, I think in kindergarten, everyone is getting along with each other. You're just learning how to make friends and things like that. But I think first and second grade even is when you see a little bit of it.
yeah.
But yeah, that's when parents really have to step in. And
Wow.
then also teach your children how to advocate for
Mm,
themselves. So don't be afraid to say something if someone is not treating you nicely. Like let someone know, like let the school know, let me know, So you definitely want to keep those lines of communication open,
yeah.
wide, wide, wide open, and believe your children when they tell you that something is up. Believe them.
Well, when
Believe
you
them.
say it like that, I mean, geez, how can you not? It's so serious. I mean, I actually, I got chills. I even got emotional when you said that because it's so young. I mean, I have a 4-year-old niece, and to think that she's 2, 3 years away from that.
Yeah.
Um, and I think the reality is, you know, people think parents might think, okay, well, my kid's not on social media at 7 or 8 years old, but they're still exposed to it because how things are these days, and it's no one's fault. It just is how the world is. We've got YouTube Kids, and at
Mm-hmm.
school, mommy lets me watch this on Netflix, and
Yeah.
mommy shows me things on TikTok videos, and my sister's doing that, my brother's doing this, and dad showed me that. So you are exposed to it whether you like it or not. Even at 4 years old, my niece and my goddaughter the same. They pick up things from the phone and from the TV that they start knowing this dance move, or they start singing to a song that you're like, oh, don't sing those words.
Right.
Mm,
So, I also tell parents to be mindful about where they place their kids, whether it's school, whether it's an activity, get to know who their friends are,
mm,
even, yes, as young as 7, you know, what household um, are your kids friends from?
mm,
So, if your child is a friend to Kevin, okay, so what does Kevin's mom do? What is his, like, are those people who you would feel comfortable around your kid? Because the fact is that whatever Kevin has going on at home, he is
mm.
bringing it to your child and thinking that this is the way their life is. So, you just want to make sure that you are placing your children around other children who are positive, who come from good families and things like that. And
Mm.
granted, we can't say, don't be friends with these people, you know,
Yeah,
but just be mindful of who they're around.
yeah.
So being in New York, I am a dancer. I've danced for my life, like my whole life. And there are several dance schools in the community that I'm in.
Mm.
And each school has a reputation. There are some schools that who are kind and it's like a family. And then there are other places who are a bit rougher and they
Yeah,
talk kind of rough and different things go on there. So that's how your house is, you
mm,
have to be mindful about where you put your child and who they are, who they are surrounded by.
yeah, absolutely. And I get it now. Like you say, you can't choose who your kids want to hang out with. I mean, my mother did for me. I used to bring friends home and she'd be like, nope. no, never seeing that person again. Be like, Mom,
Right.
why? Or she'd
Yeah.
say, you're not going to that person's house until I've met their parents and I've been there and whatever. And I
Mhm.
was always like, oh, Mom, you're so lame. Oh, don't understand why. And now I so get it. And
Yeah.
now it's a bit more important.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think it must take great strength for parents. And I think of like, my mom kind of raised us as a single mother and how hard it must be to be firm with your kids because you want to have
Mhm.
this good relationship. And like you say, you want to keep lines of communication open. But it's difficult when you are the parent that your kids are saying, I hate you, mom, I hate you, dad. And you
Yeah.
feel like you're blocking that. So, like, how do you find the balance in being super strict and like having the ground rules for your kids and having this relationship where it's open and loving and comfortable and you know your child's going to tell you everything?
I say open lines of communication are key.
Mm.
Family meetings, just kind of going over like what's acceptable and what's not, but also for parents listening to what your child, like what your child says.
Yeah.
Um and I get it. Parents are worried about their kids. Like you don't want anything bad to happen to them. You don't want them to be with the wrong crowd. You don't want them to be out late and things like that. Um, but you do have to kind of let go of the reins a little bit to say, okay, where can we compromise? What are things that we can compromise on? You may not be able to compromise on everything because as a parent, there are just some things that you're going to say no, like not while you live here,
Yeah.
you know. But there are certain things that you may be able to say, okay. If you want to go out with your friends, fine. You have to be home by 11. Sometimes kids will be
Mm.
like, oh, well, everybody else is hanging out until 1. Okay, but I need for you to be home at 11, and this is the reason why. You
Yes.
know, I
Yes.
think that a lot of times parents say, no, because I'm the mother, so this is why it has to
Mm.
be like this.
Yeah.
But you have to tell your kids why, because if they don't have a reason why, then they're going to be like, oh, then it doesn't matter. I'm just going to go out and do what I want to do,
Yeah.
you know? And unfortunately, there are some kids who test the waters and they have to learn by experience.
Mm.
And experience can be a very hard teacher.
Yeah.
Um, but I also think that parents can share what their experiences have been,
Mm.
because young people forget that their parents were also teens at one time, and it's
Yeah.
easy to say no because I did that and this is how it turned out.
Mm.
Not saying that it's going to happen for you like that, but there is a possibility that what you're trying to do can go completely wrong. So I'm trying to help you not make that um, decision,
Yeah.
So having those communication lines wide open so that the team kind of gets a little bit of what they want and you get what you want to.
Yeah. And I think that's the key is when you have those conversations and it comes from a place of this happened to me or this is my experience, it then becomes a little bit more relatable because, like you said, when you are young, it's like your parents are just these parents, these like weird aliens, and they don't get you and they don't understand you. And it's only when you're older you realize, like, hey, they're human too. They've also been through heartache and bullying and blah, blah, blah. So I think
Yeah,
that's definitely quite an important approach is to be as relatable as possible.
yeah, yeah.
So we've spoken a lot about what parents can do and how parents should manage it and what they should be aware of. Let's shift focus slightly to what teens can do, because I think that's a big thing is, letting teens have the right tools in place to know how to manage. Like, what do you do when you get bullied on social media? How do you avoid it? What's your
Yeah.
advice for teens?
I would definitely say the first thing is to let somebody know.
Mm.
Let it can be a teacher, it can be your parent. Even when I was working in schools, when there were young people who were bullied and maybe they didn't want to tell their parents, like if they came to me, part of like something that I would say would be, okay, let's bring your mom in, or let's get on the phone and let's tell them together, because sometimes that is helpful to have an extra person there. So that is one thing to let anyone know, let any adult know, but also advocate for yourselves. What a lot of people don't know is that bullies pick on people who don't stand up for themselves.
Mm,
So I'm not saying that a teenager needs to like fight back physically,
yeah.
but you can be assertive.
Yeah.
You use your words to say, I don't like that. Stop it. I'm not gonna tolerate this. I will let someone know, leave me alone.
Yeah.
You know, like those are things that teens can say. And I know teens may not feel like actually like speaking that out because part of it is pride.
Mm,
Like if you're surrounded by a group of people and there's somebody bullying you and all eyes are on you, you may not want to say that because you feel like, oh my gosh, like I sound like I'm corny or,
yes.
but you have, but I always like to say, think about what the consequences are. If you fight back, what's going to happen? There's a
Mm,
chance that you can get like seriously hurt. You're going to get suspended. This could be something that will continue to go on and on and on because unfortunately, sometimes these fights that happen, they just never seem to end. It's always like somebody has to get back at the next person, and nobody wants to walk around looking over their shoulder to see, what's going to come next. So
yeah.
use your words, let someone know, let an adult know. And if you're not happy with what the outcome is, take it to the next level. I've seen bullying go so left, and police have had to get involved
Wow.
because the situation has gotten that bad. So if the school hasn't done anything, if your parents are there, your parents are trying everything that they can, then you may need to file a police report
Mm,
and get some sort of a restraining order. Now that is really like that is
yes.
serious stuff when it gets to that point. But usually it seems to kind of stop itself at school. And I definitely know that I've been in schools where students have had to unfollow each other on social media,
Mm,
and none of their friends could communicate with the person like online and things like that. I mean, again, teenagers and their decision making skills are not fully developed and they don't always think everything through. So
mm.
they screenshots are definitely real.
Yeah.
And
Jeez.
anything that is sent, like I've seen screenshots of people who say, no, 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 I didn't say anything. And then you pull up the evidence and it's right
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
So don't ever think that, just because you deleted doesn't mean that the other person has.
Aren't screenshots like the most dangerous thing? I
Yes.
mean, I know when things like Snapchat first came out, and it was like, oh, you could just have these short bursts of videos, and people were like a little bit risque about it. But
Hmm.
screenshots, and like you say, delete a message. No, no, no. Someone's already captured that.
Hmm.
Instagram story, take it down. Someone's got a screenshot, and it's been sent to half the school. Like it's so, so dangerous. And I think
Yeah.
that's probably the first point of avoiding getting into trouble. I mean, obviously, in
Hmm.
our role, we work in social media. We know how quickly things can go viral and how, you know, the growth of the reach that you get on any media that's shared can be exponential. So the
Yeah.
first point is just don't put it out there. If you're not sure, if you're feeling like, maybe I should, like
Mhm.
rather don't.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes for everyone because once it's out there, you can't always guarantee that you can get it back. And that's a scary
Hmm.
thing.
And things can spread in a school very quickly. If a
Mm,
period is 42 minutes, within that time, the whole school can have access to
my
whatever
word.
you may have sent.
Yeah.
And then everybody has an opinion. And then people will come to you like, oh, well, did you see what this person said? Did you see what that one said? And then people are like, oh, now I want to like fight somebody because everybody knows. So it's kind of like
Yeah.
just don't say anything. Just do not send anything that you don't want everyone else to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing is coming from one side, you might share something innocently to a friend and be like, look what this person said or did, whatever. And you think it's only going to stop there. And then it just spreads because that person is not, got the same
Mhm.
integrity as you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, it's so serious. It's so serious.
It is. It's a different world out there. I mean, I'm involved in it and sometimes I feel overwhelmed with how quickly things change and what's happening.
Mhm.
But I think this conversation has been hugely valuable, Dr. Rowe. I could just talk to you forever. I feel like it's gone so quickly. Honestly, I just
Yes.
I feel like we've
I
scratched the
know. I just looked at
surface.
the time like, "Oh my goodness,
I
oh
know.
no."
But I think we could definitely do another session. And
Mhm.
if you're watching this or listening in, send us comments. Let us know if you have any questions. I'm sure Dr. Rowe would be super happy to get involved and help out with that. And yeah, let's plan another one soon. I'm sure there's lots more to dig into on this topic.
Yes, yes, yes. There's so much, and actually, because of the work that I've done, I did write a teen journal,
Yes, I was about to touch
and
on that.
uh, and it really came from conversations like this
Mm,
of self-esteem and confidence that young folks have, and just overcoming challenges that they've had, and
mm,
dealing with their parents when, they disagree on different things, and, how to respectfully disagree with parents, your friends, and things like that. So, yeah, and it has a whole bunch of other stuff too. But I think for this conversation, it really gives young folks time to really think about decisions that they're making
yeah,
and how they can start to form some new coping skills
mm,
and strategies for where they are.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's great. I think your journal is the perfect solution to so much of this because it's a safe space. It's often intimidating to kind of like explore how you're feeling or what's happening with someone else.
Yeah.
Whereas a journal is a good starting point. And what I love about what you've done is the prompts, to get kids to
Mhm.
think about things in a certain way and to guide them, like you say, with how to deal with certain of these issues. There it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I'll drop the link down below and people can go and have a look and order online because I think it's fantastic and I think it's definitely the right tool or at least the right starting place to make sure that we avoid some of these very, very serious and scary situations.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, the, prompts are really great because a
Mm,
lot of times we will tell kids, "Journal,
mm,
write the way that you feel," and they don't know what to write. They
mm,
don't know where to even begin, like, "So what should I write about?
yeah.
Uh, how long do I write? What if I don't feel like writing?" So, the prompts really give a good starting point, and then there is, space so that they can, draw, and I've had folks
Oh,
say there were some days that I could write, and I could write for 20 minutes, and then sometimes they say and then there were topics that I couldn't write about. Maybe they felt like it really touched them, and they didn't have the words, so they drew whatever they felt.
wow.
So so for me, it warms my heart to hear that young people are, connecting with it.
Mm.
The language sounds like how they talk. I try to be as, current as I can without showing my age. But so many connected, and they said that it's really been helpful, so I'm happy about that. Happy, happy.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I think it's absolutely great. So we'll definitely leave those links below. And yeah, Dr. O, thank you again. It's been so lovely to connect with you. This is one of the benefits of social media that we could connect from, between
Yes.
South Africa and the US. So thank you so much for your time. I so appreciate it. And I really, really hope that we get to chat again soon.
Yes, and thank you for having me. This was so good today. I'm so happy to be here and to connect with your fans and followers.
Thank you,
All
Dr.
right.
O.
Have a wonderful day.